Hey, that's the beauty of building a strong personal brand, isn't it? You get to showcase all the things that makes you you.
Humans want to buy and work with other humans. They don't want to just buy products without a mission attached to them.
The word multi-potentialite means people have different interests which are no way connected to each other, but they also are very good at what they do.
Folks, I think that this is going to be a very interesting answer from Katrina. You have to, grab onto your pen so that, you can make some notes over here.
Yeah.
Grab my pen right now. Wow. I mean, you sound like a stalker than a customer, but understandable that one person's personal brand inspired Bilal not just to start his own personal brand, to actually start and found a product which he is using.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Genie Talks Show. My name is Bilal Asif, and I am your host for this episode. Folks, you have to hold on to your hats because this episode is going to be a triple threat of awesomeness.
Easy there, Bilal. Two hosts and one guest is plenty.
Well, maybe Monisha, that is true from for other shows, but with Genie Talks Show, we do not like to do things ordinary. We do have things over here informative, action packed, and overflowing with real world fire.
And that's exactly what you're going to get today. We are talking about building your personal brand with Katrina, and we are not just throwing theory at you. We have got case studies, practical exercises, and enough examples to make sure you are head on spot. In a good way, of course.
All right. So before we dive in, I would like to request Katrina and Monisha, both of you, to acknowledge the land that you guys are virtually gathered upon from to be at this podcast.
Okay, so let me go. Vancouver is located on the unceded territory that was never ceded by the Musqueam, Squamish, and Selilwato peoples. We acknowledge their presence here.
And the land on which I gather, Langley, is on the traditional unceded territory of the Katzie, Kwantlen, Matsqui, and Semiahmoo First Nations.
All right. So, folks, today's topic is specifically directed towards people who are multi-talented and are struggling to find a niche in which they would like to build their personal brands in. So, we have as a guest speaker with us today, Katrina Owens. She is a personal branding expert. She's the founder of Knockout Directives, which is a brand and publicity consultancy. At Knockout Directives, Katrina empowers passionate service providers like myself and also lifestyle brands with magic of building public relations and personal branding. When I first connected with Katrina, the thing that resonated with me a lot was that she understands the fact that people, the small business owners, they usually do not know how to leverage the power of personal branding and public relations because they see that these things are fancy things and are only for high multinational companies. And Katrina's mission is to basically prove these small business owners wrong. So, Katrina, first of all, thank you for taking the time to be at this podcast. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And thank you for having me. It was so wonderful to connect with you. And I think we have some really great topics that we're going to cover soon.
Yes, hopefully. And then we have with us the powerhouse named as Monisha. She is my co-host in this episode today, and I have to acknowledge the fact that I have asked Monisha to be my podcasting mentor because she has a lot of experience in this domain, but she hasn't said yes to me yet. So, Monisha, she is a multitasking marvel because she has a full-time job. Then she also manages this amazing podcast named as Newcomers to Trailblazers. She co-founded a non-profit Tech to Step Network Canada, and boy, she rocks public speaking events like it's nobody's business. I'd have to ask Monisha that how you do what you do.
Well, I try to keep myself busy, but hey, that's the beauty of building a strong personal brand, isn't it? You get to showcase all the things that makes you you.
All right. So, and speaking of myself, if you guys have heard of this amazing guy who talks about this amazing AI SaaS product named Connect Genie, which is a personal AI assistant for LinkedIn, this guy was actually very passionate about helping people build their personal brand on LinkedIn. So, that guy is myself. I'm the founder and CEO of Connect Genie AI.
Hey, so Katrina, I'm gonna ask at you because you are our guest today. I'm co-hosting. So, you are the brand whisperer, right? Spill the tea. What exactly is a personal brand? And why should everyone be obsessed with building one?
Yeah. So I love personal branding because at this day and age, we've got familiar with the internet. We all have our social media profiles. You can buy products online, services online, connect with people all around the world. But if we take it back down to like basic human interaction, humans want to buy and work with other humans. They don't want to just buy products without a mission attached to them. If you want to, purchase a service or trust someone with helping them build your business, people want to buy from people. So building up your personal brand to really amplify the personal qualities that make you unique, that attract your ideal client to you, are those things that are going to help build your business so much faster and in a way that feels like much more authentic. And I would even argue like kind of fun, because now you don't have to put on this persona that maybe you feel a bit disconnected from. You actually just get to be you and get to build your business using that as a tool, which I would say is pretty special.
Basically, Monisha, you are, as I've spoken about you in your introduction, you are a walking, talking brand empire, right? There are so many hats that you wear. I would like to ask that I'm assuming that you must have hit a lot of roadblocks along the way. So, what's the biggest challenge that you have faced in building your personal brand?
Okay, thank you for that introduction, first of all. And you called me multi talented and I multitask. There is a specific word for it. Apparently, the word is called multi potentialite. So, the word multi potentialite means people have different interests which are no way connected to each other, but they also are very good at what they do. And turns out I could be one of them. I wouldn't say I am one of them, but I could be one of them. So, number one, like you said, I have a full time job where I'm the talent management specialist, which actually means I take care of people's performance and their growth in a different organization. I have my own organization, which is called Tech to Step Network Canada. We build networks for technology people. When I say technology, right from software designers to tech journalists. And I also have a podcast, like you mentioned. So podcasting and storytelling has been my one of my passionate things to do, and I've been doing that for so many years now. But I started a podcast only last year. Storytelling has been my passion all along. The challenge that I face is because I'm interested in doing a lot of things, I do not know how to build personal brand. One thing people keep telling me is you have to find your niche before you put yourself out there. Now, let me be selfish right here. Because when I have to look for jobs, I have to put my LinkedIn in such a way that I'm actually looking for a job. Which means if you look at my LinkedIn, you can see I talk about talent management, you can see I talk about change management, cultural change. That actually is the full time job that I do. I need revenue, don't I? I need to pay my bills, I need my food, I need revenue, and that's where I start. But unfortunately, the kind of work that I do through my nonprofit and through my podcast is never possibly out there. Now, how do I even build that personal brand? That is the biggest roadblock I've ever faced.
So, Katrina, that you can also see that then she is a multi. The word that you used was multi-potentialite. I hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly,
Multi
right?
potentialite.
Okay, multi-potentialite. So I think, and this is one problem that Monisha has described over here. How do you recommend someone like Monisha, who has so many things that are going on in their professional career? How they focus on one specific niche, so that they can start working on their personal brand? Because I don't want her that the person who's trying to work on their personal brand lose their inner passions that they have, like Monisha has so many. So any advice for that? And folks, I think that this is going to be a very interesting answer from Katrina. You have to grab onto your pen so that you can make some notes over here.
Grabbing
Yeah.
my pen right now.
Yes, do it. Because let's just like take it back to basics. So I think that most importantly, you need a strategy. So this is the step that a lot of us personal brands skip because we think like strategy, it's just for like the big complicated businesses. I'm too small to need one, but it actually helps all of us become so much more organized and actually so much more impactful. So we take it back to strategy first. And what we would do is really focus on like, okay, so you have all these amazing things that you're doing. And the reality is all of those things can be revenue generators, but we have to treat them like they are. So we want to break them out and treat them like they're their own businesses, like apart from you. Build them up so they have their own personalities, goals, probably have their own strategies within them too. And then we pull out the threads that are common to you because you're the common denominator between all of those things. So if you envision like a Venn diagram, like, like one of those things where it's like circle, 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 and then there's overlaps where you put in the words that they share. I would encourage you to start with that. Like create this diagram where each of these entities is separate, and then talk about the qualities where they overlap. And those overlapping qualities are you. And the qualities that don't overlap are qualities of the business. And that's okay, because if we're treating all of these separate brands like they are big businesses, I have this concept called big brand energy, where we treat everything like they're big businesses, then you're going to build each one of those out with its own identity as well. And we're going to get there. But like I should have mentioned before, this is going to come with like a lot of homework and like probably a big to-do list. But that's where you'd want to start. So like get super organized and really start to figure out the shared qualities, the separate qualities. And then we put a little marketing plan behind each one. And the other thing that I want to mention is like as humans, I would argue that we're all multi-potential lights, or multi-passionate is the other word that seems to float around. That's just the nature of being a human. We're allowed to have different interests. Whether we want to even share all of them or not as part of our personal brand is entirely up to us. So I'll use myself as an example because I just launched a women's golf league in my community.
Wow.
So it's been amazing. But if you look at my brand, you could argue golf doesn't really make sense within the like personal branding, public relations space as it stands. So with some context here, my personal brand lives and thrives and grows over on Instagram. So I knew if I was going to launch this as part of my personal brand, I needed to start to like show people how golf intertwines before I do this launch. So we launched this, me and my business partner launched this golf league back in July. But back in May, I started teasing like me going to my golf lessons or wearing more like golf clothing, just to like kind of give subtle nods, start to take your audience on that journey with you. And then as I integrated more and more little sneak peeks of that content, people started to relate. Okay, Katrina and golf, like maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's an interest, but maybe there's something else there. So by the time I launched this league, it actually made so much sense. They were like, oh, okay. Like, we sold out our first event within 24 hours. And I would say most of those people came from my audience. And that's because they could see the story unfold. I took them on that journey with me. So now this has become part of my brand. The Golf League has its own brand, but because I am the co-founder of that organization, now it makes sense for me to continue to sprinkle that content in. It doesn't take over because it has its own living, breathing identity on a separate account and separate platform. But because I position myself as the co-founder of that, it allows me to share snippets of that story still. So hopefully, I feel like that was a lot there, but hopefully that helps you in the early stages of kind of building everything out.
Yeah, that's actually very amazing. I pointed out two things. I would like to point out two things.
Yeah.
Strategy comes into two formats. One
Mm-hmm.
would be to separate yourself from the organization,
Mm-hmm.
and the second would be to merge yourself with the organization. As simple as that. If you have to
Yep.
separate yourself from the organization, you identify what are the differences between you and your organizational values and principles. And similarly, if you have to merge yourself with an organization, what are the base principles and values that you have that led you to build the kind of multi potential or multi talented or multi organizational values that you are building right now?
Mhm.
And actually, now that you have given me a structure, I'm slightly putting it out in my head, and I actually see a Venn diagram coming along. And the Venn diagram, if I would have to put it out, I would say, even though I have a talent management profile, and even though I have a nonprofit, and even though I have a podcast, something that's similar to all of them is building people together.
Mm.
I love bringing in people, building community, and building people and their growth is something that I have always been doing. And that's something common between all the three. And that is
Mm.
you put it so beautifully that I am actually able to put that strategy into work and I can give this amazing tool. You have given us some amazing tools. Thank you so much for that.
You're
Now,
welcome. I'm so glad.
thank you.
Mhm.
And I don't know if our listeners and viewers are putting it out on the pen. I have given you, I have put it into work. You can try it too. Now, we have spoken about a strategy. Let's talk about platforms. With a million social media options out there, I mean, like really a million, right? How do you find that perfect spot to shine?
So, taking it back to strategy, within
Mhm.
everyone's strategy, there should be an ideal client profile or
Mhm.
target audience, whatever word we're using these days.
Mhm. Mhm.
And in that, you're actually illustrating your exact avatar of the person that you want to attract for each business, as a reminder, because we've now separated it all out. And then you can actually compare and contrast those ideal client profiles. But in each of those, there should be a section that outlines how do you reach that person. So if we're trying to reach a more corporate audience, it's probably LinkedIn. For me, I target female entrepreneurs in all of my businesses, and that audience for me right now is on Instagram. I do put LinkedIn in there as a secondary, but knowing that most of us are short on time, I always say you got to focus on at least having one platform where you're super, super consistent. So for me right now, my consistency lives over on Instagram. And when I can start to bring in LinkedIn and maybe even eventually TikTok, I want to make sure I can consistently deliver on those platforms as well. And by consistently, I mean like probably 3 times a week posting. That's kind of what I like to see as like a baseline on any platform. The more, the better. But that's how you would start choosing what platform is right for you. Because if we take it back to profit, if all of these things are going to be revenue generators, we need to know where we're going to best reach that consumer. So figuring out what platform they're on and then creating your social media strategy around that. So you don't necessarily choose the one that you like the most, although you could in theory. I really recommend starting, okay, where's the client? Because you want to meet them where they're at instead of the other way around. Don't make it hard for people to find you.
So
Okay.
basically, you have to find the place where your potential ICP sits, right? And then obviously choose the platform that is more that resonates more towards that community, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so one final piece of advice, find your audience, build there. As simple as
Yes.
that. It does sound simple, but the work should be a lot, I'm sure about it. And I should say, I have been terrible at Instagram. I have never had an Instagram page. My podcast does, but I don't know to use Instagram, so I am terrible at it. Obviously, my Instagram suffers. Podcast, let's be honest, it has to be through Instagram. That's when you
Mhm.
bring your customers. But from a different point of view, I am a LinkedIn person. Like you said, LinkedIn is another platform that you use, right?
Mhm.
For me, Instagram is that another platform that I use. LinkedIn has been my go to because I started my career in talent management. I put myself out there as a
Mm.
talent manager. Now I'm struggling to build a personal brand because of my various interests. But I have found the platform that I would like to build a personal brand. Now, Bilal, you have cracked the code on the platform selection and you have chosen LinkedIn just like me. I would like to know why LinkedIn And what is the story behind your product, Connect Genie AI?
Right. So basically, before being the founder of Connect Genie AI, I'm also the founder of Kickbits, which is a software development services providing company. Right.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting in Pakistan and I am trying to entertain clients all across the globe, mostly trying to get clients from United States. And the platform that we usually use in Pakistan and also in India, Bangladesh, the South Asian part, that we use platforms like Upwork and Freelancer, where people put their projects and then we go over there and bid and all that. The problem with those platforms is that they do a lot of deductions, and I wanted to see if I can find another way. And I actually got to, I started with taking LinkedIn seriously, and I thought maybe I can find some clients through there as well, and I was able to score two clients, and they paid me more than $100,000, and that's like quite huge money for us as a service provider. So then I realized that LinkedIn is the place where business happens, and but with LinkedIn, it's not about just that you just send connection requests to other people and just do the sales pitch. You have to also work on your personal brand. So in 2023, as now before that, I also would like to say that I'm as a software engineer, my expertise lies in Chrome extension, full stack Chrome extension development. So in 2023, I was done with one of the consultancies and I wanted to do something of my own. uh, Chat GPT and OpenAI, they were the talk of the towns at that moment, and I tried to reverse engineer that how I was able to score these two clients from LinkedIn. Now what I did was that I used to if I have found a prospect that is interested in doing business, that is interested to consume the services that we provide, I would go to their profile and investigate their profile in detail. And after investigating the profile, and create a crisp connect note request that I would send to them. Because once the first important thing is that you get inside their inbox. Once you've gotten inside their inbox, then you are able to do the business and all that. So what I came to the conclusion that this is the first part that has to be done. And now my expertise as a Chrome extension developer and the AI all over the place, I merged those two, and I thought that I can create a Chrome extension that can scan the profile of my prospect and then create a connection request note by submitting the details of that prospect to the AI system. And that's how I came up with Connect Genie, the Chrome extension, and that's why I named it as Connect Genie. Then moving forward, I was able to also see that people also struggle a lot with commenting, because when you start building your personal brand on LinkedIn, it is not just you keep posting, you have to also engage with other people. And people usually came up with comments like thanks for sharing, agreed, and that does not really add too much value to the reader's eye. So we thought that we can also add this particular feature, that we would scan the post text and submit to our AI, and select a particular tone and ask the AI to come up with a comment. So that was a second feature that we came up with, and that has been a real hit. And the most recent feature that we have launched is the post drafting feature, which helps you write amazing LinkedIn posts. But the unique thing is about those posts is that you can also write engaging hooks. It's not just it will write a post, it will write a very engaging hook so that people are intrigued towards clicking on that see more button. So that's the story behind Connect Genie in a nutshell.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm assuming you're saving a lot of time by doing that as well.
I was myself, and I've a lot of testimonials that have came up from different users, that they are able to save a lot of time in post writing and commenting, and so it's been a huge time saver in that sense. So
Amazing.
uh,
Thank you for sharing.
thanks, and you're welcome. So, Katrina, you've worked with a lot of incredible clients, right? So, I would like to let us know about a story of a total brand makeover. Someone who went from zero to hero. Do you have a story if you can share it with us from that perspective?
Yeah, I have so many, but let's talk about the one. I have a client that's top of mind this week because she just emailed me yesterday to give me an update on how things are going. So, she is in the yoga wellness space, and this is someone that I had known for a very, very long time, actually, because in a previous life, I was a yoga instructor and worked kind of in that field years ago. So at the beginning,
Multi-potentialite right there.
yes,
Mm.
exactly.
And I should have,
See,
I should have, I should have, I should have mentioned about this yoga instructor thing in the introduction as well. I'm very, inspired by this yoga instructor.
I
And
know.
yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
I don't even really talk about it that much. I need to like bring it back into the brand somehow, but I haven't had time to sit down and strategize that one yet. So stay tuned.
All right.
But she had reached out to me back in January, so January 2024, and she was feeling very frustrated because she had a very, very long career doing what she does. She has a yoga school where she teaches other yoga instructors and trains them on the tools they need to be able to have their own careers. And I knew that she had built up such an amazing reputation for herself in the community, but it wasn't reflected online at all. So what I had loved about her was like, she already had so much credibility and authority in like the real world. We just needed to put it online. So I worked with her on a strategy, and she is an action taker. So she implemented it right away. And I mean, when we do a personal branding strategy, there is like a visual brand component, a website component, social media, public relations. Like it is a true, back to big brand energy, we treat it like a big business would treat their marketing plan. When I worked in corporate marketing, every single year we would do a overarching marketing plan for our efforts for the year. So we would know exactly what we were doing, spending money on, allocating time towards. So this is what I encourage other people to do. / it is what I do for other people, other entrepreneurs. So I created this plan for her, and she started implementing it right away. And she saw amazing results within the first 30 days. I mean, she sold out 2 workshops just through her email marketing platform alone. And this actually happened when Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, went down, and she needed to launch her workshops. I can't remember how long they were down for, maybe like 8 or 12 hours back. This was like back in the spring. She sent out that email. She didn't even need those platforms to be able to sell her program. So we activated her email marketing, and she was able to sell those out just on there alone. But then when Meta did figure out their stuff and she got back online, she's now built up such an incredible social media presence. She's been able to partner with other organizations and leaders in her community on not just other classes or trainings for yoga instructors, but she's actually building this community of other instructors where they can learn and share from each other. Something that hasn't really been done or offered in this space, at least in her geographical area before. And then the note that she had sent me yesterday was really talking about her next training, which is her highest ticket item. She's sent me an email to let me know that it's been her most lucrative offering yet. She only has 1 space left, and she attributes that all to being able to build up this amazing personal brand online, which has really reinforced her brand authority, her credibility in the space. She can charge more for this program because she's now positioned as a leader, and that her program is like a prime offering. So that's really cool. Like when we talk about like profitable personal brands, this is what I'm talking about. We use public relations and social media and treating ourselves like a big business using strategy to be able to charge our value, create more revenue streams for our business. She has all of these amazing ideas for offering online components to her brand, which are things she had never thought of doing before. So that really is like, that shows you the brand growth, even just over like a 6-month period. So if you can be dedicated to it, if you can like put the strategy together and really focus on bringing all the pieces, all the different marketing tactics available to you, and using them all to really create an amazing, cohesive, consistent brand presence, the results can be so significant in what really is a short amount of time.
I think, I would like to point this out specifically, right? That, the example that you have given her, when this client of yours, her business was not online. Her business was still growing, but
Yep.
when she put herself online, personal brand online, the most important thing that even people who are not in business or just are freelancers can see from here is that they can charge a lot more that then they could charge, but if they were not working on their personal brand. So that is the one thing that I really want the audience to understand, and that has been always my movement through which I've been very dedicatedly working on Connect Genie, that through, if you're working on your personal brand dedicatedly, you're able to charge a lot more for less time than
Mhm.
if you were not.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because at the end of the day, if you're building a personal brand and people can see that you have great social media content, people are engaged with that social media content, you have a significant amount of followers, doesn't have to be like tens and thousands, but if you can have like a couple thousand and they're engaged, that automatically makes your business look so much more high quality, makes it look like it's so much more in demand because people are engaged with it. I mean, an online personal brand, a big part of it is optics. So that's why it is so important to grow it. So people see that and they're like, yes, of course, this person's services would be whatever amount they're charging. Because look, they're like in demand, high quality, they're an authority in the space. So that's kind of the psychology behind it. It's like these things are important. Sometimes we don't want them to be, but they are. So that's why, all of my clients need to have a really active social media presence on at least one platform. That's my non-negotiable. So I help them build that if they don't, because it's so important to me.
That's amazing. I must say, the story of not having a social brand and to having a social brand, it is significant. And many people who do not have personal brands take this assumption that personal brand is a lot of qualitative work. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it is. It is a lot of qualitative work, but also there is a lot of quantity associated with it. Quantity that talks about metrics, that talks about
Mhm.
engagement, that talks about revenue generation. I mean, look at what Bilal did. He got $100,000. That is a lot of money, right?
Yep.
So every social brand, every personal brand can actually be converted into revenue stream. And that is
Mhm.
something that we really learned today. That is amazing. And thank you so much for sharing, Katrina. I am going to reach out to you and I'm going to build a strategy for my personal brand
Yes.
on the side. Do not. And viewers, if you want to reach out to her, I think you really should. We have been talking about all of these personal brands, right? Now I have a very important question. What is the most craziest personal brand that you have seen, which you love it or hate it? This is for the both of you.
Okay, I can go first on
Mm-hmm.
this one, because the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, now before I think before 2019,
Mm-hmm.
I actually graduated from university in 2013, and up till 2019, the most personal branding efforts that I had ever done were just putting updating my LinkedIn profile about my experience. I never posted on anything like that, so I was never inspired to that. But by the time then that I've told you that I was working on Upwork and trying to find people through LinkedIn, I started following this guy named Justin Welsh. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it. This is a LinkedIn celebrity where I think he has more than half a million YouTube following, right? So he has more than half a million followers on LinkedIn, and this guy is a walking, talking example of success. He makes he has built a multi-million-dollar business all on his own and just through LinkedIn, right? He posts every day, and the thing is that the what resonates about the content that he writes, it resonates with so many professionals who are trying to pursue, who are struggling to be in the digital nomad domain, and sometimes his content actually feels like a conspiracy, to be very honest. He has such strong stance on everything, and everything is so related. Everything resonates so well in terms of LinkedIn and how you can leverage the power of LinkedIn. So I got really inspired from him. He has a lot of digital products that he's making money through. Like, he have digital courses. I've bought all of the courses that he has, except for the Creator MBA. It's a very expensive one, so I've not bought that one. But rest of the courses, I've never been able to follow those courses, but because of the lack of time. But I've bought all of those courses because his content is so good. And also, I've never signed up anyone's newsletter, right? I don't, usually do that. But his newsletter, I specifically went and signed up, and I read it on every Saturday at 5 p.m. I'm waiting for the email that is going to come, and it has all the content. And he also makes a lot of money through that newsletter, and all the subscribers on that newsletter are through LinkedIn, and also he has some following on Twitter and Instagram as well, but mostly LinkedIn. So that has been my inspiration, and he has helped me a lot, and given me a lot of inspiration to work on Connect Genie as well. So that's my take on this.
Wow. I mean, you sound like a stalker than a customer, but but a lot of
uh,
cyber stalking. I heard a lot of cyber stalking, but it is so understandable that one person's personal brand inspired Bilal not just to start his own personal brand, to actually start and found a product which he is using to build into extreme levels. That is so amazing.
Right. So the thing about the stalker that you mentioned, my marketing consultant that I've hired in my team, right? She actually, she was. I used to, try to follow his tone, Justin's tone. Like, I used to follow what he's saying in a very conspiratorial type of way, and having a very strong stance. So I was also trying to, adopt his voice. And she was like, uh, he's at a very high level right now, Bilal. You cannot be at you cannot start adopting his tone right away. She even actually at some point said that, Bilal, you're so much in love with Justin, you have some sort of a poster in your room. She asked my wife that, do you have some sort of poster in your room of Justin as well? So that's kind of the
Stalking, mate. Stalking. Okay. So, Katrina, please share with us which is the most craziest personal brand you worked with, and do you love it or hate it?
Okay, so funny because mine is like definitely opposite, and mine actually lives more on Instagram right now. But the craziest trend I've been seeing, I would actually say it's like an anti-personal brand movement called faceless marketing. Have you heard of it, Monisha?
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Okay,
No.
so for anyone that hasn't, so the general consensus, so on Instagram, obviously there is such a push for video content, photography, it's such a visual platform. But the concept of faceless marketing is to create like beautiful content, but without ever showing your face. And this trend actually lives in the space of like digital products. So it's people that want to sell digital products online to have passive income, but without ever showing their face in the photography or the videos or anything like that. And that is so opposite of anything I believe in, because I really believe, first of all, when it comes to like passive income from digital products, in the early stages of like being a business owner who has some of these things, it's not really passive income. There's so much marketing that actually goes into selling these things. And a lot of that requires your face because you need to build trust. There's this concept in marketing called know, like, and trust. And you really need to build that with your audience to be able to sell products like this. And so I've been spending a lot of time on the app Threads, like Twitter, but for Instagram. And there's a lot of digital product creators that are in the early stages of their business complaining or venting or feeling like they can't move the needle on their products because they've adopted this faceless marketing trend trying to sell, mid-ticket, high-ticket products without even showing their face. And I'm like, well, I think there's a reason why people don't trust you enough to buy your products. It's because they have no idea who you are. So I think it's a trend. I don't think it's going to last. And I actually just don't think it's sustainable. So if we think about business owners that have solid reputations, that grow big businesses, that are profitable and have all these different revenue streams, like to go back to Bilal's point, like he loves this man, or like really loves this man's work. But that's because this man has put himself out there again and again, has created an audience that's engaged with him, recognizes him, knows what he looks like, knows what he sounds like. And so when we see this other trend unfolding that's exactly opposite, I just don't think it's sustainable. Like, there's going to become a point, I think we've almost even reached that point right now with AI, where people can just generate beautiful images. So if you're posting images or video and you're claiming that it's yours, but it could be AI generated, people don't really buy into that anyways. They scroll on past. It's when people can form a connection with you and your personality and your face. That's when the trust happens. And then that's how you actually build a reputation as a business owner. So yeah, I don't think that trend has quite made it over to LinkedIn yet, but it is super, super popular on Instagram right now. And it is basically like, again, goes against everything I believe in. So I'm pushing against that one a lot of the time.
Wow. I really hope it doesn't come to LinkedIn though, to be honest. I am going to be so swamped at and I will not succeed in my personal brand if that happens. But it is so, like you mentioned, I would like to also envision that as a trend and it's not a constant evolving process. Let's hope that does not happen. But thank you so much, both of you, for sharing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been a wonderful conversation, and I think there is a lot of ideas that we have conveyed, specifically Katrina, that through which our audience can learn from. And I'm actually very grateful to you, both of you, Katrina and Monisha, for you to helping me co-host this podcast. Anything that Katrina, any last words that you would like to help our audience who are trying to work on their personal brand? Anything in specific?
Yeah, I'll just leave everybody with this. So a lot of the time we think we have to be at a certain stage in business or have a certain amount of followers or make a certain amount of money to be able to have a personal brand. And I think that is so completely false. If that's something that you want to have, it doesn't matter where you are, you can start to create that. And a lot of times creating that actually helps you reach those goals, whether you want more followers, more money, more, whatever you want more of, creating the personal brand can help you achieve that. So don't put it off. Just start working towards it today because it will pay off. And yeah, probably faster than you think. So that's what I'll leave the audience with.
Okay.
All right, okay. And Monisha, you have to also agree on this podcast right now that you will be my mentor for podcasting, helping me with that.
Well, I'm thinking about what will I get out of it, honestly. But I see I love building people up and I love helping others as well. So I'm happy to support you in your journey. And Katrina has said this often again, and I would like to repeat it. Consistency is the key, irrespective of whether you are building a personal brand or you're learning from a podcast mentor. Consistency is the key. So put yourself out there, but be consistent. Talk about what you value and talk about your personal brand. And we have given you a beautiful structure. Stick to the structure. And if you have questions, you know whom to reach out to. And if you have questions about LinkedIn, you know whom to reach out to. And if you have questions about everything else, you know whom to reach out to. Thank you so much, everybody, for today. Thank you, Bilal. My vote of thanks is coming along. Thank you, Bilal. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. You can subscribe to us. I'm sure Bilal is going to put out all the links on the YouTube description. We have our Insta pages, we have our LinkedIn pages, we have our TikTok pages as well. Please do subscribe. Please like, share, and comment. And just follow us, cyber stalkers, by all means.
All right, thank you so much. I'll make sure that I do leave all your links in the video and as well as in the description. Thank you, everyone, and thank you our audience for listening to us. Thank you. Take care.